So what is the training for this type of contemplative photography?
You're probably not surprised to find out that being simple is not easy, because we do tend to complicate things endlessly. This is a very simple practice, but there is discipline involved because of the expansive nature of our minds, constantly churning up more thoughts about everything we see and do. So the discipline in this case is to learn to simplify our visual experience. And we begin at the beginning in opening the good eye by focusing on the elements of form, so that we can very simply see color, texture, and pattern, light. And when we start to root ourselves, what we see and what we're aware that we're seeing in the elements of perception, we actually can synchronize our eye and mind that way. And that's the very first discipline that's involved, is learning how to synchronize your eye and mind. A lot of times what we think about what we're doing is not synchronized eye and mind. You cannot think and shoot in this way with your camera at the same time. You can't do it. This is a thought-free zone. And that's a challenge for us because our whole currency is thought, is concept, what we think things are, what we think things mean. And what we're doing is we're actually moving, okay, so let's just say, as I think we all can relate with this, that we spend all of our time down here. The second we see something, within a 60th of a second, we've identified it, we've classified it, we know whether it's friendly or unfriendly, whether we like it, or whether we couldn't care less. That happens just like that. So we're way down here. Then there's way down here. And this is like a stranger in a strange land. This is like visitors to a foreign planet where nothing looks like anything we've ever, like going to Japan, for instance. Trying to talk to a Japanese person is pretty hard because they don't even have the same intonations that we have. They don't have the same body language. They don't have the same subtle ways of communicating intention, or even whether they, around here everybody goes, so they're friendly. I know we all know what that means. This is Boulder thing. It's just smile real quick just so people will know that you're sort of okay and you're not like having a bad day. But in Japan, they don't even do that. They don't do anything. So are going to Mars. People don't even look like anything you've ever seen. And you don't really have a clue what's happening. So that's down here. There's no meaning. There's no referential meaning. Okay, so what we're talking about, hi, is somewhere halfway, maybe. Could go a little bit this way or that way. But the first thing that happens is when you see something, we label it. So in the beginning levels of Mixon, what we do, and this is the style of contemplative photography that I teach and that Michael teaches, and that we develop and teach at the Mixon Institute. What we try to do, through exercises, we have great visual exercises. We try to take you to that moment before the labeling mechanism kicks in. Just like that. But you can slow it down and you can start to realize that, there is a point where what you see is really not identifiable, and then it all kicks in. It's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. And you start to see that. Well, that's very big at the beginning. And then, as you do the exercises more, things start to slow down more. And you start to have more of a relationship with the space before the thoughts kick in. And then you start having more direct experiences. And you start to really like it. Because what you discover is, when you see color, when you're just out walking around, and you see color, and that's the assignment, your eye and your mind go like that, right onto the color. The dots line up, the X's are crossed, and there's nothing going on in your mind except the experience of color. And you start to go, wow, that's so fresh. That's so vibrant. I can feel it, 100%. And thank goodness my mind has shut up for a change, you know? It's like, whoa, fresh air. We did a class in Cologne, Germany, and please pardon me, anybody's heard this before, but it just was one of the most remarkable teaching experiences I think Michael and I have had. Cologne, Germany was the headquarters of the Gestapo in World War II. And it's a beautiful little town, and it's a lot like Italy. They say it's like the most Italian German city. And lots of flowers and cafes, and it's not like really uptight. And it was completely rebuilt because they leveled it after World War II. They rebuilt it in the most wonderful modern architecture, beautiful. And on every cobblestone street, they have golden squares with the names of the Jewish people who were taken to various concentration camps and what date they were taken. It's sort of like lest we forget. And we'd never been to Germany, so we didn't know what to expect. We knew there was a lot of precision and there was a lot of seriousness about doing things right or correctly or whatever, but that's really all we knew. And the first the first evening, we gave a talk, and nobody said anything. The expression on their faces never changed. They were so stony-faced. And then the next day, we went out and we did the exercises, and everybody was trying really hard to do it right. I mean, in fact, I wasn't even sure if they were just kind of putting us on slightly. I could not tell. And it seemed like even some of them were ignoring our instructions and doing something else. I mean, we didn't know. And then everyone went out shooting, and they came back, and we were very surprised to see their images because they had been listening very hard, and they really did follow the whatever the guidelines we set out for shooting. And we were shooting color the first day. And when they saw that they could actually see color, because they had said to us there is no color in Cologne, which was, clearly not the truth, but that was what they were perceiving. There was no color. Once they started to connect to the color in their world, everything changed, and they started laughing and talking, and their hearts just melted because they didn't believe that was their right. That part of their penance was living in a black and white world. And once they saw that they could actually connect to this basic human thing that we can do, everything changed. And honestly, they're still friends of ours after all these years. It was a very profound experience. I think we do this. I think we prejudge what we're going to see, and we miss so much that's there that we don't even know what it looks like because we can't see it for what it is. So that's level 1, just elements of form. And you were asking me, so then what? But that's even not all of what happens in the first level. Because we really start to cultivate a mind of stillness so that we can see. And then we work from there. And once you actually can stay still and sort of learn to relax with the jumpy mind thing, the impulsive mind. Once you can learn to relate with that and relax, then you can start seeing more and more, and then you're actually ready to take that mind of synchronized eye and mind and some sense of being able to relax the whole program that we have, take that out into the world and start connecting with phenomena as they occur. And that's what there's 5 levels of mixong, and each level takes another aspect of the visual world, and we work with opening up to that. And ultimately, there is no mixong. It's really just about seeing fresh. Anybody else?
So when you're talking about seeing fresh and you're talking about synchronizing the eye and mind, there's a third element. It's what caught my eye. So the eye, mind, and the heart.
Yes.
And it seemed that when you were describing the colors of cologne, you know, moving from black and white to color, that's definitely integrating that third part of that triad. I'd still be curious, as you're talking about synchronizing the eye and the mind and seeing afresh, where does the heart come in that whole spectrum?
It's a progression. It really is. It's a progression. And of course, your heart is always there. But in the beginning, particularly, we're really working with that sense of, now you're not seeing, and suddenly, boom, you're seeing. So we're working with the experience of being fully present with the eye and mind in the moment. It's not so much about the heart as it is just being fully present and fully connecting with something very simple. And by limiting what we do to the elements of form, we're really learning to be able to be there fully with something very simple. Because our mind tends to complicate things. So if you can just be very simple and get still with that, then the next thing that we go to is going more deeply into the experience of perception. And then you're starting to realize that not only does your eye see and your mind see, but also you experience visual perception with your body, which is really where we start to get into heart. Because when something you see invokes a feeling of resonance, your whole body is involved, not just your eye. You know, photography could be a highly intellectual discipline, but in our case, it is not. It is a full body mind experience. So that, and especially, we're going to the elements of form. Texture, for instance, is the beginning of experiencing things with your body and mind combined. You feel a texture in your body. You don't have to go like this. You feel it. And your mind and your body start to come together so that things are not neatly divided. And that just develops.
Julie, I think that would be an awesome segue into reading something from your book, because it's so beautiful and heartfelt.
All right.